Hi, good morning, welcome back. Oh my gosh, my chair is gonna completely collapse on me. It was a very makeshift chair. I need to order a poof. That's been my plan. I need a poof that sits low to the ground. Even this is too high, which is unfortunate because I could just scoot this right over. But anyways, small space furniture problems, am I right? So I'm in again on a Sunday, not typically a day that I do readings, but there's a continuation of a theme coming through. I just did it, it might have even been last Sunday, literally a week ago, about a hater. And it was a great reading. I'm glad I did it. I fought doing it, but it needed to be read. I could feel it, and it was great. I ended up being really glad I did it. And now there's a oh fuck, I forgot about the heater. Give me a second. Okay, sorry. So, this is gonna be, if that reading had relevance for you, it's like this is a continuation of that because it's the same themes. It's the same idea of competition. It's the same idea of creativity and stolen ideas and performance and the arts and all of it. There's threads that ran through it for me personally. And it's coming through again. So it's a continuation. And if you haven't watched that reading, but you're catching this one because it feels appropriate to your situation, I really recommend going back and watching that reading. It has hater in the title, Haterade, this hater's back at it. So go read that because this is now an extension. And the way that it's showing up for me is again through a personal story. And it's about a time in my life in high school. I was super into the performing arts. That's what I wanted to do at one time in my life, was to become, so that's why this channel has been really great. It's like I'm rediscovering this part of myself of just getting to kind of be my Leo self and perform. Because I used to really love performing. I was in jazz choir. I, believe it or not, had a really good voice. I don't work with my voice very much anymore, so I still have a decent voice, but the range that I used to have is gone. And I honestly don't know if I could ever recover it. I used to be a top soprano in school, and so I could sing most of the high notes. I'm not Mariah Carey, there were some notes that I even couldn't sing, but for the most part, I could sing all the high notes in any choral ensemble. And I started out as an alto, so I'm going somewhere with this, bear with me. Because there's a lot, when you grow up performing, there's a lot about that that's a part of your identity, right? Even though it's also a performance. So there's really interesting, cool things you can play with around masquerade and identity and performance. And it's one of the things I loved about being a performing artist. I've always loved singing from the time I was born. In fact, those beliefs, if you ever know about like putting things in front of a child and the ones that they choose will be their life path. My dad had a Super 8 camera when my mom was dying to take home movies of her for me. They're very sad. I'm sure she didn't necessarily appreciate that, honestly. That's a story for another time. But she allowed it because, everybody had to face that she was dying. And she didn't want me to not know who she was. So even though it wasn't a happy time, she would have wanted to be captured. She understood that it would bring me some benefit. And I was obsessed with the microphone that came with the camera, and all of the home movies of me as a baby after she had given birth but was now dying are of me going after this microphone. Like I'm obsessed with it in all of these movies, and it becomes like a running joke in the movies. So now to performing arts, I went from an alto to a soprano to a top soprano. And my vocal choir teacher supported me a lot, really believed in me as a singer, but my dad was not supportive of the arts. He was like, that's a hobby. That's not something you do with your life. And I was like, well, I want to though, but I ended up I didn't end up standing on that. I decided I'll go a different route because I need the support of my dad. I just felt that way. He was one of the only people in my life that I had to lean on. And so blah, blah, blah. Sorry, I don't know why I set the intention that this would be focused and concise, and now I can see that it's not. As I sit down and I'm starting to tell the story, I feel like I'm all over the place. So as I was a senior in high school. This was like the peak of my vocal training at this time. I was a really good singer. And if I had had the support of my dad, I probably could have gotten into Cornish and made a life of performing arts. But that's not the path my life took, and I'm not upset about it. It's not. But it's been really nice to rediscover through this little YouTube channel my love of performing. And I'm not performing. This isn't fake. This is real. But still, it's creative work. And so we're doing our final production, and our choir teacher picked a song for me rather than me choose a song to do solo, which was how, if people had an interest in doing solo performances or duets or whatever, you could go to the teacher and say, we want to do a duet. And usually you got to do that during the performance, and they would help you rehearse it and get good at it. And because I was a vocalist and I was very devoted to performing arts, I almost always either wanted to do a solo or a duet or some type of breakout from just the regular choral ensemble songs. And so this time around, it was going to be my final performance. And for whatever reason, the choir teacher chose my song for me. And I didn't like that. That had never happened before, and I didn't really understand why. But it was because she was trying to help me highlight what I could do with my voice at that time, because it's a song from Phantom of the Opera called Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again. And I didn't even necessarily resonate with Phantom. That came later for me. The story of Phantom of the Opera came later. At the time in high school, I didn't know the story really, and I didn't know the meaning of the song. And the director chose it because of all these high notes that I would have to hit, and it would really showcase my voice. But I didn't have it wasn't like I was like, this song, it didn't necessarily speak to me at the time. The song that did speak to me was a song that one of my best friends got to do solo called Big Spender, which is from a musical called Sweet Charity. And it's a little bit of a sexy song for a high school girl to do. Looking back, I'm like, God, times have changed. Because I think if a girl wanted to do that nowadays in high school, people might have something to say about it. It's a little adult. But regardless, you're sexy. You feel sexual as a teenage girl. That's true. You just need to watch out for people that want to exploit that, obviously. But she did Big Spender, and she just was smoking doing this number. And I wanted it. I coveted that because I felt more resonant with that type of performance than the one that was more, not operatic, but Andrew Lloyd Webber is just a way different style than Big Spender and Sweet Charity. And it's a masterpiece. Phantom of the Opera is a masterpiece, but it's just not where I was. And I didn't appreciate what my choir teacher was doing for me, which is I chose a song especially for you because it is a truly beautiful song. The high notes are super high. And so I never enjoyed it, though, because I felt the whole time I was so focused on I'd rather do this other song that my friend is doing and smoking hot, and it's bringing the house down every time, and everybody loves it because it's this really charming, funny, seductive song. In fact, it's in one of the vacation movies even. Beverly D'Angelo sings it for Chevy Chase. It's great, right? It's a great song. Everybody loves it. So I was jealous. I remember feeling disappointed that I couldn't have a moment like that. But because of that, I missed out on my moment, which is, had I embraced the song that my choir teacher was trying to help me embrace, embrace what you bring, which is these super high notes that nobody else in your class can hit but you. Embrace that about you. That's your gift right now. Embrace it and showcase it. I resisted it because I wanted this other gift of this smoking hot friend who was doing Big Spender, and it was all sexy and just more contemporary, just different. It was a totally different feeling. So this is the same thing. The story's coming through now, and I'll put a timestamp in case you want to skip the story. I'm hoping not, though, because it's related. This friend and I had a competition that was a little healthier because we both competed in choir. Both of our vocal skills got better and our performing skills got better. It was still not a very comfortable relationship for me in terms of the competition. I didn't like it. I don't know how she felt about it. We've never talked about it, but I didn't really ever feel very comfortable with it because I don't like competition. But this story just came raging through this morning because on repeat, Phantom of the Opera, I've been listening for some reason to the Josh Groban, Kelly Clarkson rendition of That's All I Ask of You, which is an incredibly beautiful song, and it's been giving me all the feelings making me cry, opening my heart chakra. And there's a point in that song at the very end. It's the climax, because she is a soprano. So all of the songs showcase her soprano voice. I was a soprano. My teacher was trying to showcase my, so there's all this whole woven layers to the story. So I'm singing this song and just getting chills every time Kelly Clarkson hits that high note at the end of That's All I Ask of You. It is beautiful. It is so beautiful. Her voice, it's like her voice was made for that song. The way I feel like it could be me singing it, even though I don't have that range anymore. And I didn't even make the connection this morning as I've been listening to that song on repeat and just really going through the emotions and letting it work on my heart. All of a sudden I flash back on that memory of me singing another song from Phantom that has even higher notes than that song, and I could sing that song. And I'm like, that's you. Own the glory that you had at that time that you couldn't see because you were so busy being focused on someone else. So last week's story was a hater hating on you, and then this week's story is maybe watch out, because you're going to be coming into the awareness that even your part of yourself that might have always wished to be something different, you're getting some shot of reality of like it was like that song coming through for me. I'm gonna try to capture it, was to say that's your beauty and you are beautiful. And it's almost like it was God showing me how beautiful I am through that song. So you're needing to hear that, and it has something to do with this competition. Like maybe the person that was competing with you has succeeded in the past at making you feel insecure or making you feel not beautiful or not as good. Like my friend that I felt envious of when she was getting to sing that smoking hot number, I wanted people to see me like that. Like, she's sexy, she's smoking, she's funny and light and free, not in this heavy high soprano operatic almost. Like, it just wasn't that. I don't know, I squandered a moment that I could have had for myself, just celebrating myself, because I was too focused on the other person. So it's the same. Last week it was someone's doing that to you. Now the warning is you're going to have to watch out not to let yourself get competitive with that hater maybe. They might be, I don't know, sorry, I know this is a lot of talking. And here's a card that's wrong way out, so we'll read that in tandem, see what's going on. What should you know about this competitive continuation story where now it's almost like the tables have turned a little bit and you're going to have to watch out not to let this person's, however they shine, whether it's the person that was competing with you before or somebody else who you admire that you may notice makes you feel competitive, right? It's to humble you. This reading must be to humble both of us, not just you, but me as well. And say, look, you're not immune. You can get right into this kind of thinking if you don't watch out, where you're so focused on what somebody else has that you're not seeing the beauty. Like, when I sang that song, it was very beautiful. And I remember people approaching me after the performance and being like, my God, those notes. And I had to work hard to hit them, but I hit them pure and clear, and they were beautiful. But imagine if I had really embraced the song. I could have brought the house down, maybe, right? But instead, because I was so focused on my friend's performance that I thought was so much cooler, I didn't, because I wasn't embracing. I don't need to beat the dead horse with my point, but Page of Cups. So you've triumphed and recognized what you bring, what your heart, just what we were saying. You're in a young appreciation of some aspect of yourself that maybe you felt insecure about, and you're rediscovering. It's the card that was the flyer, the wrong way out in the deck. And I chose the Muka deck because it's so creative and visually beautiful and heart-centered, that style of art making. So the Knight of Swords, something you may have realized and become aware, or this reading may serve as that you got into competitive energy yourself, and it can do damage. The Knight of Swords doesn't mean to cause harm, but sometimes the messages he delivers are hard to take in. They're real gruff and a little abrupt, right? So that's the cornerstone energy. You're a little bit feeling wounded and tired from that experience of having been battered with this news, or this maybe stark contrast between you and someone else that's got you feeling a little bit beat down or weary and tired. But in your wise mind and in your smarter sort of higher wisdom, you understand that you're solid on your own and it's not about competing, right? It's not about a competition, just like that story. And because of that, you've recognized I need to go within. It's not for me to get caught up, or else this reading is going to serve that, because the facts are you want to go within and be in your own race, not compete with somebody, not get caught up in these little dramas. If you go within, you're going to balance out these nines that are in conflict with one another, but that can be integrated and harmonized. Your vulnerability here is that it's maybe your heart. Like for me, when I woke up and I was describing listening to That's All I Ask of You, that's a song about what really love is, which is allowing someone to be free, not controlling and possessing, right? But loving, I mean, it's that cliche saying, but it's very true. If you love something truly, you set it free. You don't control, you don't dominate, you don't manipulate, you don't mess with, you don't gameplay. That's not love, that's ego. And that song is about, like, let me be your freedom. All the lyrics are about that, like, I love you. But what's interesting is that's in direct contrast to who the Phantom is, which wants to possess the soprano because of the light that she possesses. There's something like that. Like, you're recognizing it's not for me to covet your light. I need to find my light and go within. And you're doing that. Or you're recognizing the light within you is the light that's also in me. Just like that friend, like I could have had my own moment with my own light, right? But I missed the boat on it because it was a life lesson for me that I had to learn. And you may be feeling a little bit vulnerable here because this is really tapping into your heart in a way that's got you wanting to rush forward. You're making all these realizations and connections. You're really in your heart and in your center, which is a good thing. It's positive. For whatever reason, it feels like a vulnerability to you. Like it might drive you to do things that are a little hasty. In the center is the King of Pentacles. So you're in a place of abundance. You know you're wealthy. When you're tapping into your own light, you recognize your wealth. You recognize the Nine of Pentacles again. You don't have to be in this wounded warrior, we're competing status, because there is no competition. If you just tap into your own light, you are light, I am light, they are light, right? We all have God's light. That's the light of creation, the light of divinity. The temple is within you. It's these messages. Stop coveting someone else's light and go within. You know that. This is something you already know, but it's like maybe you hit a vulnerability point recently and you're having, this message is coming through to tell you that. Sorry, there's a little critter right there. A little bug. You're walking away from something also. It's like you've made a choice. Am I going to keep being in this situation where I'm trying to live up to something that isn't my own? Or am I going to walk away from that and find my truth and my light, right? That's your strength. That's what you're doing. That's your strength. It's in harmony with your vulnerability, which is following your own heart and following your own light. But it feels vulnerable to you because it means, like, if you're carrying around someone else's identity as a masquerade, that's not being authentic. It's not, and because it's not being authentic, it's not being vulnerable. When you're authentic, you're vulnerable. You admit and show your vulnerability to another with an open heart. You don't have your ego protecting you all the time, right? The devil on your shoulder is just maybe going to want to get you at times to stay in your ego and to avoid healing by pulling you back into this comparison mode. It's easy to do, especially if you're on the internet and on social media. It's easy to compare. Everywhere there's comparisons. Look how they're living. And then now a lot of people are saying that's all an illusion. Just because someone looks like they're having an amazing life on social media, that's often an illusion, a very carefully crafted illusion, right? So that's important to remember, but we're all vulnerable. And you may get vulnerable at times. The devil on your shoulder might be getting you in that keeping up with the Joneses or keeping up with the other influencers type energy and preventing you from healing. The wise part of you understands, no, I need to surrender to healing. I need to stop distracting myself and just do my healing work and follow my own path and my own light and stop fixating on others, stop comparing myself. If you're going to continue down that path, where it's headed is the Knight of Pentacles. It's going to take work. It takes work, especially if you're newer at this. And this might be a little bit of an epiphany that at least in this relationship or in this one area of your life, you are vulnerable to competition and comparison. Whereas in this other area, you might be pretty solid and annoyed that someone is competitive and threatened by you. All of a sudden, life is now holding the mirror back up to you and showing you an area where you maybe are the vulnerable one to competition. And warning you like, hey, alert, right? Like you were just doing what you were frustrated about. Pay attention, notice, follow the lesson, tune in and course correct, right? It's work. It's not easy. Not everything that is worthwhile is easy. The Knight of Pentacles is a card of steady progress. So as long as you keep focusing on, I got to go within every time I feel competitive, every time I want to take what's not mine, every time I want to come up on somebody else's idea just to get ahead of them, have my wedding before they have theirs, bullshit like that, right? Like, if you keep saying, no, I'm going to resist, whenever this one area of my life is provoking me and triggering me like that, that's my cue to go within, not to start trying to keep up or compete. It's my cue to go within and follow my own light, my own hermit energy. So it's a beautiful reading. I think because I did so much talking in the beginning now, which was that storytelling about my song and the Phantom of the Opera, and now seeing for the first time really at this age how beautiful that story truly is. It's a masterpiece. And actually, it's coming. There's going to be a North American tour, and I've never seen it live. I've been to many musicals because as a performing artist in high school, I was in that world constantly. And I love musicals because of that. I know they're not for everyone, but I want to go to the Phantom of the Opera tour now and really hear a soprano sing those high notes in person and watch the production. The Paris Opera House in production and a traveling musical. I mean, come on. I can't wait, actually. I just found that out, too, this morning. So I'm going to go to that and hear those two songs and remember that I have a glory that I get to have. That's being a soprano, even if it's not the sexy, sultry. I mean, I am an alto again. I'm no longer a soprano because I didn't keep up with my voice. I smoked for a lot of years, so now I'm back down in that deep register alto kind of energy. What's some final scrying message for you? A little bit of a gaze for you about this energy to take away. Yeah, it's so interesting because these are ink blots that are mirrors, right? Because that's how ink blots are designed. But this one is actually an ink blot that was done in horizontal. So as I'm gazing at it now vertically, it's not a direct mirror. It is a mirror. It's obvious you can see that it's a mirror as you're looking at it, and you can probably see it here. It is a mirror of itself. But really, it's this. Only I laid the card like this. So this is another echo of that idea of like, if you just shift slightly, you're back into your beauty and your light and your strength that is yours uniquely, that isn't an imitation of someone else's. And you may be vulnerable because you see how good someone else is at something. Like, I'm feeling this intuitively right now, that you might just be starting down a path that somebody else that you admire is already very well established and already down that path. And there's a part of you that can't help but feeling envious. And what's important to remember to get that in check is like, that person is ahead of you because they've been doing the work longer, not because they're better, not because that's, again, a story about the person that was competitive with me in the work setting that I talked about in the last reading. part of my frustration with that person was like, you want what I have, but you haven't done what I've done to get here yet. So you competing with me for this top tier position and then feeling enraged and entitled when you don't get it doesn't even make sense, because I have the experience. I have done the work. This has been my life's work. I have worked in this field for 30 years. I have done the work. I've done the research. I've put it, this is why I'm being rewarded. And so it's like this, it's, you need reminding, or this person needs reminding, or someone in the equation needs reminding that it's okay to admire and use that as sort of like a signpost of like, that's where I'd like to be. But then to start coveting and trying to take the energy and emulate it and copy it, that's where it starts to cross a line where it's like, but that's not yours. That's theirs, that they earned through their own life path and soul's growth. That's their soul's light. You got to find your soul's light, right? And so this is why it's coming through, because maybe as you make a shift, you're seeing a place where you could be vulnerable to covetous type energy. And so it's saying, just watch out for it. And when you feel it, make that shift. That's why this card came through as a scrying card. Anything else in there? Oh God, this hurts to say. This hurts to say. I don't even know. This is a figure in our public psyche that is very charged. It's Michael Jackson. Like, I'm seeing Michael Jackson's face right here, and I know that that sounds kind of absurd or ridiculous in the moment, but the reason I'm saying it is because if you grew up with Michael Jackson like I did, you watched what he went through as a performance artist, starting off as a child where he never got to be a child. Whether you think he's guilty of the crimes he's accused of, that's not what I'm talking about. The reason I'm seeing his face here is because of what he went through, being so culturally having integrated anti-blackness, because there's so much specifically anti-black hatred in the United States and in multiple parts of the world, not just here. We don't have the market cornered on anti-black racism, but he had like a lot of anti-black racism in himself unreconciled, which is where, and he kept trying to say it's an illness, but I think a lot of people rightly suspect that some of it was an illness of the psyche, not what he was trying to say, that my skin is changing because of a I think it was changing because there was some part of him that was racist against himself, if that makes sense. Just like you internalize hatred about women if you're a woman or whatever, right? So there's something about this that requires your attention. That's like, don't look over there for what you find beautiful or admire it, but then find your own beauty again, right? So that inner child of Michael Jackson, that's where my heart is really hurting right here, for that inner child in him that didn't get to heal. And again, I'm not talking about whether you feel he committed those crimes or not. At one time, he was a child that was a victim of this kind of stuff, right? And it was a wound that he was not able, I don't think anyways, not that I'm his psychoanalyst, but I don't think he was ever able to heal that wound. So that's going to be all. Hopefully this reaches whoever it's meant for. Thanks.